Hey, boxing fans, welcome to my weekly podcast, The Sweet Science. My name is Jeff. I'll be your host. Of course, shows about boxing. This is my very first episode. I did a couple audio recordings, can't seem to upload them. Trying to start a channel on YouTube. So I'm going to just start with some recordings and see how they go, and then take it from there. Uh, but let's jump right in. Um, I know it was last weekend, but let's get started with last weekend's big blockbuster fight for boxing. Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis, where Tank Davis just absolutely dominated Garcia, showed his skill level, and showed why he was the best counter in boxing. I mean, at this point, Tank, in my opinion, outside of Canelo, is absolutely the face of boxing. Uh, if he just gets, stays out of the trouble, stops doing the silly stuff, and he's obviously he focuses on boxing. I mean, you see it in the ring, uh, but I think a lot after that fight, the after fight presser is what I want to get into. The fight last week was great. Uh, Tank really showed his level, and Ryan really showed his inexperience and lack of maturity. Refused to listen to Joe in the corner. The first round, you heard Joe telling him, "Hey man, just keep doing what you're doing. Set that jab up like you're doing. Continue to control it with the jab, and try to set up that right, and or try to set up that late or that big left somehow." Uh, then Ryan goes out in the second round and immediately goes after Tank and just starts wailing and just start looked like an amateur. He really did. He looked amateurish out there in the second round, and Tank made him pay. Tank bought his time. He threw that left, that big left for the third time in that round. Three times he threw it. So he threw it for a third time, and Tank made him pay. Countered and just dropped him right to the mat. After that punch, you saw it in Ryan's eyes. He didn't want any more. You could see defeat in his eyes. He gave Tank everything. At least he felt he did. Thought he had him hurt. He didn't have him hurt in that round. I don't believe he did. I think Tank was just, what else do you do when a guy's just coming at you crazy like that? You just put your guard up and you block and let him think he's doing big hits on you when he's not. When the punches he are thrown, but he's throwing just wasting his energy. Uh, but I think the after fight presser said a lot. I read into that when Goosen wasn't there with Ryan. Oscar wasn't there with Ryan. Matter of fact, I didn't see anybody from Golden Boy there with Ryan to back him in that presser. That I read into that immediately. I said something's not right. Him and Goosen must have got into it. Otherwise, why would your trainer not be there next to you? And then this week, I read that him and Goosen are going to part ways. Makes complete sense to me. I feel like it was a mutual decision on both of their parts. And I feel like both really weren't the best fit for each other. Goosen didn't improve Ryan at all. I didn't see anything that he did with Ryan that made him a better boxer or any different than what he looked previously. Um, and I also think that Ryan's immaturity makes it hard to be his trainer because when you're telling a guy what to do and what you saw and what he should continue to do, and then he goes out and he completely ignores you, that's got to be aggravating. You're the trainer, listen to what your trainer's telling you. He's telling you what he's seeing, and, you got to take that and, don't go out and just completely ignore a guy. I feel like Goosen saw that, hey, I can't really get through to this kid. Like I said, Joe didn't improve him. He wasn't improved. He had the same flaw that he had in the Tank fight, that he had in the Luke Campbell fight, dropping that right while throwing that big left and leaving himself open for a counter. And I mean, that happened. Luke Campbell was what, a year, almost 2 years ago since he fought Luke Campbell. And you still had the same issues 2 years later, three fights later. Uh, so yeah, I thought, that was crazy. But I also feel like if Ryan loses another big fight, that Golden Boy's going to end up dropping him. The minute he can't sell tickets, the minute he's not a big draw like he is, Golden Boy's going to drop him. Uh, I also feel like Ryan's good. He's a great young fighter. He's got all the talent, but I feel like he's a guy that's more in love with the attention from the sport than he is with the sport of boxing. Uh, he has his roots in social media, and of course, he wants to put on that show. I'm the pretty boy boxer and all that. But I think he's got the talent, and if he can get with the right trainer to come in and train this guy, and get him on track and get him to listen and get him to mature a little bit more and get him to get off the social media and focus on boxing. Don't be half-ass about it. If you're going to do it 100%. And if you're going to be a professional boxer, then do it with everything. If you half-ass it, it shows up in this sport. You can't go half-ass and think you're going to go in there and beat a Tank Davis. The Canelo camp, they all said the same thing about him, that he never really put in the work and that he would come in, do an hour, and he'd leave, and then he'd show up once or twice a week. And what can they do with that? They couldn't do anything with that. So they felt they should part ways with him. Also, he's lost two trainers in what 2 years. So that's hard to fathom in itself. But that was last week's big fight. I want to get into this week's fight. Williams Zepeda, who fought over the weekend. Big puncher, another lightweight guy who's going to be dangerous, and so many guys you can match him up with. You can put him in there with Shakur. You can put him in there with Tank. You can put him in there with Kambosa. Line him up with Loma. There's so many guys in this division that he can take on and, see what he's got. I mean, the guy's got great boxing ability, and he seems to just keep getting better and better. He seems to be growing. He seems to be putting the work in, and you can see it in the ring. Like you saw it this weekend, he made easy work of his guy. He hit him with those body shots. Was it the first two rounds or was it the second round? I don't know if he took him out in the second round. It was the third round. Well, I think it was the second round. And he just chopped him in the first round, just chopped him with his body shots, and then got in there in the second round and went right back to killing his body. Uh, and then eventually that's what took the guy out. And you can't take shots like that to the body and think you're going to continue to stand up. Great job by Zepeda. And we'll see what's next for him, man. I'd love to see what Matchroom has lined up for this guy. Don't let him stagnate. Don't keep putting him against lesser talent. Let's really test this guy's talent and get a big fight, another big fight in there. A Shakur versus him. Man, that would be a banger. Tough fight, even though I think Shakur is probably the one of the best in this division by far. Really like that kid, dominant face of the sport for the future down the road. I think Tank right now next to Canelo is a face of a sport, especially in America. Even Canelo in America might be above him, but still, Tank is the guy that everybody's watching right now, and that I think he's the future of the sport. And speaking of Canelo, he's got a fight this week coming up against John Ryder. Basic tune-up fight, coming off an injury with his hand surgery, all that stuff. This is a tune-up fight for Canelo. I don't expect it to be a tough match for him, and maybe Ryder surprises me. I don't know much about Ryder, nor have I watched any of his fights, so I can't really judge on what Ryder's going to bring to the table outside of what I've been reading. He's not. People don't think he's up to par for Canelo. And, I think Canelo could be making a mistake too, man. Don't go in there overlooking this guy. He's been talking about Bivol all week. All week, I'm going to fight Bivol. And he said he's going to fight him at 175. To me, I don't think he should. Bring him down to 168. He doesn't want to bring him to 168 because I think he knows that Bivol will beat him. And Bivol's already said, hey, bring me to 168. I want to take your belts from you. And I think he should take him to 168. Give him an opportunity at those belts. He'll relinquish them after he beats you, and then allow somebody else in that division to get a hold of those belts that you've been just kind of holding on to while you're out fighting whoever, skipping your mandatories, things like that. But, you know, you're looking at Bivol, you're overlooking Ryder, and let's hope he's not overlooking Ryder. Let's, you know, I still, don't think Ryder's on that level that even if he is overlooking him, that he would be a threat anyways. But I don't think he could beat Bivol regardless of what. weight he wants to do it at 168, 175. 175 is a mistake. He's too small to go up against Bivol at that weight, especially Bivol. He can box. He's a boxer. He and you don't want to. I think he boxes as well as Canelo, and with the size and length, it's just it's not somebody he should be fixated on continuing to fight and should just move on down the road. Fight the guys in your division. If you're going to stay at 168, you're going to hold all the belts. Don't hold them fucking hostage, man. That's crazy. Go fight the guys in your division. Give them an opportunity at your belt. And if you're head over hill, if you're head above all these guys, then it shouldn't be any problem for you to just defeat them. If you're better than Charlo, then defeat Charlo. If you're not afraid of Benavidez, then fight Benavidez. You beat Plant already. You gave him an opportunity. Why not Charlo? As much as I don't like Boo Boo, Andrade, give him an opportunity. If you think, no problem, this guy's not an issue, then give that guy a fight. Fight the guys in your weight class. Stop trying to keep jumping weight classes, skipping your mandatories, skipping all the other big guys. I mean, if anything, go fight fucking Jaime Munguia. You know, but stop playing skip to the loo and deciding who you want to fight when you want to fight while holding your belts. Not cool. But also a little bit of other news in boxing. Wilder, of course, got in a little bit of trouble this week with he got a gun charge on him in L.A. A little bit of weed and guns. He didn't put up a fight. He wasn't didn't cause a scene. He went and did what he had to do. They let him out that morning. He'll probably have a fine. I don't know what LA gun laws are or anything like that, but let's hope it doesn't stop him from getting a fight really soon here in summer, middle of summer, or going into the fall. If he, and, rumors are he's going to fight Joshua in December in Saudi Arabia, where seems all the money's at. So why not go fight, make that money? This is a fight everybody's been wanting to see for shit, before he fought Fury, everybody wanted that Joshua fight. I know I did. So much talk. And I really wanted those guys to fight each other. It didn't happen. It's never too late for it. Even with Joshua kind of on the downside at this point, Joshua's still a good fighter. He's still one of the top heavyweights. I don't think he's in the top three. I don't think he can ever regain his championship status. I don't think he's on that level. I mean, we watched Usyk outbox him twice for 12 rounds. And he wasn't even able to touch the guy. He wasn't even on his level. So he definitely shows a lack of that boxing IQ, the adjustments he should have made. And then he gets that look in his eyes. He did the same thing in his last fight. He'd go out and he'd dominate a round and he'd dominate another round. And then he'd have this glazed look in his eye, lost wonder in the corner. And then he'd come out just, half-ass boxing and was looking like crap. He looked great and then looked like crap. And then, you know, he needed a knockout in that fight, I think, and I think he needs a knockout somewhere down the road. He's got to fight. If he's not going to fight, if he does fight Wilder, and it's not till December, he's definitely got to get somebody else in between that time. I think maybe book a guy for August and fight a guy. I mean, and go from there. Zhang fought last week. Also, I watched a little bit of his fight. I mean, I was never big on Joe Joyce. I didn't think he was as good. I thought he was, his head sets straight down the middle, makes it an easy target for that jab to constantly just tear him up, especially against a southpaw. Uh, wasn't a, he's not a fast mover. There's nothing about Joyce that I've ever been impressed with. Zhang didn't surprise me going out there with those heavy lefts, being a southpaw, confusing him, and able to take him out with that stoppage, with the cut on Joyce. But I don't want to see that fight again. They talk about a rematch, Zhang says, in China, but Zhang's now high on himself that, hey, I'm the guy in the heavyweight division. Maybe he is. He's big. He's got a punch, but I think Fury, Usyk, Wilder, those guys just absolutely embarrassing. I don't think he has anything. I think he gets knocked out by Wilder, outboxed by Usyk, knocked out by Fury. I don't think he stands a chance against any of those guys there. Maybe that's the fight. Maybe that's the fight right there. Anthony Joshua versus Zhang. Why not that fight? I mean, absolutely, that would be a banger. Those two guys, Zhang trying to continue to make a name for himself, and AJ trying to rebuild his name. That would be an amazing fight. I don't think Zhang's going to get a fight in China like he wants, but uh, that's a fight that can still be made and would make the money and would definitely be a hell of a pay per view. I know I'd pay for it. But that's a fight that I definitely look forward to in the heavyweight division. Let's get to the heavyweight division as far as what's going to happen. Fury, take the Usyk fight or retire. Nobody wants to see you fight Andy Ruiz, who's fucking a midget compared to you. Nobody wants to see you fight anybody but Usyk. That is a fact. Nobody wants to see Usyk fight anybody but Fury. This fight has to happen. It has to be settled. We have to know who the best is in the heavyweight division. I still think Fury is. Even with Usyk's boxing talent and all that, his size, he's 6'3", and he doesn't have the power. So what is he going to bring to the table against a guy 6'9" like Fury? What is he going to do that nobody else has tried? We watched Wilder hitting with the hardest punch in boxing, and we watched Fury get up from it. Not once, but twice he got up from those punches. Usyk's power isn't even a quarter of that, and that's a fact. Show me any difference. Show me film that shows me Usyk has that type of power, deadly power that Fury should absolutely fear that this guy's going to come and knock him out. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. He's great at boxing, but he's not a dancer. He's not going to dance around the ring and be a Floyd Mayweather against a guy like Tyson Fury. Tyson's going to eventually corner him. He's going to use that weight on him. He's going to wear him down, and then he's going to fucking knock him out like he has Wilder and all the other guys. Fury fights the guys at that level. Like Wallen, he took Wallen for granted. Didn't see that big punch coming. If he fought, Wallen again, I think that's a different. I think he dominates him. But right now, I think the only way you settle who's the best in this division is those two guys have to fight each other, and then it's going to trickle down from there. You got some good up and coming names like Big Baby Anderson. Like we said, Joyce took a loss, and after taking that loss to Zhang, I just don't see him as one of the top in the division. Honestly, I'd love to see him and Big Baby matched up against each other. Dubias, they talk about him and Usyk fighting. Okay, we'll see. I don't. I mean, I think Usyk absolutely dominates him, outboxes him. But be a good challenge for Usyk since Fury doesn't want to fight right now. I don't get that, but get that contract signed, make this fight happen. Same with Crawford and Spence. I'm hearing rumors about that fight, but until I see, I mean, we had a date last time, so I can't even say till we have a date set for these guys to fight that I'm gonna buy that they're fighting each other. Because the fact is, last year they had a set date for, if I'm correct, it was November, sometime November 17th, something like that, and it just didn't happen and everything fell through. So even if those guys say they sat down, they've signed a contract, we've got a date, I'm not buying it till I see these two in the ring together with each other. And that fight is another fight. Has to happen. Has to happen. These guys can't keep going and fighting other people. I don't want to see you fight anybody but each other. That's fact. And I may just boycott your all's next fight if it's not against each other. Yeah, why do I want to watch you guys fight people who aren't on your level? You guys are on that level, man. You're the top in your division. Follow what Benavidez and Plant did. Follow what Ryan and Tank did. Follow those guys and continue that this year. We see Haney doing it with Loma. He's not ducking Loma. He's not trying to keep and hold on to those belts. He's going to the next best guy on the list, and he's going to fight that guy, and then he's going to take on Tank or Shakur if he beats Loma. You know, but these fights are happening, in a way in Fulton. Even though it got backlash, it's going to happen later in the summer. I mean, you've got Katie Taylor. She's got a fight coming up, but these big fights are happening, and we need to see Crawford versus Spence. We need to see Fury versus Usyk. If we want this year to be one of the best years for boxing, those two fights have to end the year. I don't want to see them this early because we got so many exciting fights right now that we can honestly let those fights go to September because you're going to get Canelo versus Bivol at some point. I want to say September. What is that, like Cinco de Mayo or something like that? I think that he likes to fight on. So you're going to get that fight in September. So why not set up a Spence Crawford fight for October? set up a Fury Usyk fight for November, December, and then end the year with a Wilder AJ fight. Like, bam, like just absolutely would be an unbelievable year for boxing. Uh, I mean, that's all I got for you guys today. And thanks for joining me for this podcast. This is my very first podcast of Sweet Science. I'm your host, Jeff. I hope you guys stick with me. Check out my page on Facebook, my group, The Sweet Science. I'm always looking for new members. It's a growing page. Just kind of me posting on there right now, but it's a public site. Anybody can post as long as it's about boxing and you got some good conversations. I don't like the repeated conversations of the Pacquiao Mayweather crap. I'm not really on that. Let's try to stick with modern day people who are boxing now in the sport relevant. I don't mind that conversation happening. The who's and ifs and what's of boxing and stuff like that. I love those conversations, but let's not make it repetitive like I see on a lot of the other boxing groups. But once again, man, check out my page, Sweet Science, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. This is my weekly podcast, and I'm over and out, guys.